It's here, guys. The new 150 is up and running, and I want to take you guys with me on the journey from getting it in here to setting it up, cleaning, painting, scaping, all of it. And of course, I'm going to give you guys some cool tips on setting up a new tank and how to get fish in there right away. Ready? Let's go. What's up, guys? Did you catch the new logo in the intro video? Decided to update, get it a bit more modern for you guys. I hope you guys like it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Kev, and I try to make helpful videos on all topics of the aquarium hobby. So if you're new to the hobby or a veteran that can never stop learning, like me, then this is the channel for you. Consider subscribing and you won't miss any new content. Now, I know I said I was gonna take a break to focus on completing the course, Keeping African Cichlids. If you're not on the waiting list for that yet, check it out right here. But as usual, this hobby brings so many great things, and I want to take you guys along for the ride with me. There is no way that I will get a new tank and not share it with you guys. So let me tell you a little backstory about this tank. I ordered this tank about 5 or 6 months ago, and as many of you may be experiencing, there's been a glass shortage throughout the whole country. Well, about 3 months in of waiting and hoping that my turn will eventually come and my tank will ship out, I got a message that my order was canceled. It was just gone. So there was no tank, no hope in sight, and I basically just got comfortable with the fact that I wasn't gonna have a new tank for a while. So about 2 months went by, and I walked into my local Pets warehouse, and there was a 150-gallon sitting right there on the floor. I immediately tried to buy it, but I was told that that one was already sold. But the good news was that they were taking orders again. So long story short, I placed my order for the 150 then and there, and 1 week later, my tank was on a pallet sitting right on the floor. And here we are, guys. So first thing we gotta do is get my 75 out of the way, so let's get to draining. By the way, the reason why I went with the 150 is because it's got the same dimensions as my 210, except for the width, or the depth. The 210 is 72 inches long by 24 inches deep, and the 150 is also 72 inches long, but only 18 inches deep. This is perfect for the L-shaped sectional that I was trying to create. And both tanks have the same height of 28 inches, so it works out to a nice clean L. If you don't know what pump I'm using yet, this is the Vivison 2600 gallon per hour. I have a link in the description for it. It's a great pump that'll drain your tanks in less than 5 minutes. And even though I've got this sped up, you guys can see how quickly that water drains. Now it's time to rearrange some furniture and make room for this new tank coming in here. Did you guys catch that? Watch that again in slow-mo. I nearly freaked out there thinking that something cracked or broke and I was trying to save the tank, like I was really gonna save it. But it was just one of the lights on top that had shifted. So while trying to push this tank with socks on a tile floor, it was kind of slippery, and it took me a little bit to realize I should probably put my sandals on and get a little bit more grip. So once I got the 75 moved over to that other wall, and I realized that my favorite chair, the Lazy Boy, can fit nice and snug right here in this little spot, I realized the tank doesn't look that bad right there in the wall. Hey, maybe I should keep it. So there she is, nice and clean, filled, looking good in that nice new corner. You veteran fish keepers know exactly what I'm talking about. If you find some square inch in your house, who knows? Could be a new space for a new tank. Now let's go get that new one, baby. Let me tell you guys, this 150 was probably just as heavy as the 210 right behind me. This thing weighs. I had 3 of my buddies help me bring the 210 in last time, and this time I thought just the 2 of us can get it done for the 150. We got it done, but it wasn't easy. Now this is what you call an unboxing. Let's go. So what I like to do to my tanks, guys, is paint the background. It's just a little bit more convenient for me, in my opinion. I like it much better than putting paper back there. Paper can get wet, you'll form bubbles. By painting the back one time, it just eliminates all the problems that you can get with a paper background. I did get a great tip from one of the guys in the Facebook group. They suggested that you use window tint on the back of your glass. And after hearing that, I was like, that'd be a great idea. So next big tank, whenever that may be, no promises, maybe I'll try window tint and see how that goes. I'm using just a regular alcohol solution to spray in the back here and get it nice and clean before applying the paint. Now we're ready, let's go. Here's the paint that I use, guys. I'll have a link in the description for this paint. It is black paint, even though it doesn't look very black. You gotta give it a good mix and then it'll get darker. So from my experience painting the 210, I realized that this first coat needs to be pretty heavy. So I'm putting it on heavy just to make sure that first coat, that base coat, is nice and on there. And you want to make sure that you get your edges good. You don't want any light coming through the bottom and the top edges. So I'm using my brush here to just fill in those little gaps. Now I'm just spreading out the paint because I did use a lot on this first coat, so I'm just spreading it out evenly. And take a look at the first coat. Looks pretty good, looks pretty dark already. My happy dance, guys, my happy dance. Here's my second coat on day 2. Gonna do pretty much the same thing, put it on pretty heavy. You see this paint goes on real smooth and looks real nice. This does not take long to do at all, guys. The only part that actually takes long is letting the paint dry before putting your next coat. But since I wasn't in too much of a rush, I just let it sit overnight and I did the next coat the next day. All right, guys, so this is day 3. But as you can see, looks pretty good with 2 coats. But since I got a little bit of paint left in the can, I don't know if you can even see it, a little bit left, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3rd coat just to solidify it. Let's go. Guys, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It helps me and the video and the channel a ton when you do that. It helps YouTube share the channel, get to more people, which means channel growth, more videos, more content, win-win both ways. I thank you in advance. Okay guys, so here's the plan when it comes to filtration. Most of you may already know that I run 3 FX6s on this 210. There's 2 right there, one more in the corner back there somewhere. And what most of you probably don't know is that one of those 3 is only polishing filter, meaning that it only has mechanical filtration and chemical filtration. I do this for the purpose of obviously polishing the water in the 210, but also so that every time I need to clean that filter, that one gets cleaned more often than the other 2 because it's only mechanical filtration, and your chemical needs to be replaced monthly anyway. So the plan is going to be to convert that polishing filter into a standard FX6. Is going to have everything that a filter should have, mechanical, biological, and chemical. And I'm going to leave it on the 210 for a couple of days, maybe even a week, so that it can start to grow some beneficial bacteria on it. Meanwhile, after that week, I'm going to take one of the other 2 FX6s that were already seeded and already set up normally. I'm going to take one of those, put that one on the 150 over there. That will immediately cycle the 150, get the water ready for the fish, good to go over there. But the reason why I say temporary setup over here is that this 210 looking like it's gonna get a sump soon. But that's a future video. So quick update on what I just said. I don't have a week to let that filter sit and collect bacteria. But that's actually a good thing because I have a better idea. I decided to take that filter out the same day and install it the same day on the 150 with brand new media, just freshly cleaned sponges, no bacteria in it at all. And I'm gonna show you guys that you can add fish to a brand new tank on day 1 with no seeded media by using the products that I'm gonna show you. I know that this might blow some people's minds out of the water, especially you veterans, but it's been done and I'm gonna prove it to you guys on this video. Fish in, first day, no problem. So after wiping down the inside of the tank, getting all that dirt and debris out of there, it's time to start installing the substrate. So this is the sand that I'm using in the 150. This is regular pool sand. It does not have any minerals whatsoever. It's just plain old sand and it's gonna work just fine. But you do have to pre-rinse this and wash it out. It actually doesn't have that much dust and dirt on it, but you still want to rinse it out, give it a good wash. I'll have this sand linked in the description below. So this is what one 50-pound bag of pool sand looks like in the 150. It basically covers the entire bottom of the tank, just one 50-pound bag. So I went ahead and rinsed out another 50-pound bag, and I'm getting it into the tank. And now we'll take a look at what a total of 100 pounds of this sand looks like in the tank. So here it is, guys, 100 total pounds of this pool sand in the 150. Will give you a little bit of depth in the substrate, which I like, and it looks great. So now I'm going to install the FX6 onto the 150 and move the hoses over from the 210 onto the 150. So remember, like I said, guys, this is a brand new setup FX6. It's got no seeded media in it. I put new biomedia. I cleaned out the sponges completely with tap water. So it's basically brand new, no bacteria at all on it. So here's the wave maker that I'm currently using on my big tanks. This is an adjustable power wave maker from Cichlids. I'll have links in the description to this guy. These are great wave makers. They got great power. I believe mine is the 3600 gallon per hour version, but you can adjust it all the way down to 30% power. It also allows you to transform the waves from a steady wave or certain kind of currents to make the waves different in your tank. Or you can leave it on just a steady flow, which I like to leave it on the steady flow just for the purposes of gathering up all that waste and getting out of the tank. Take a look at how strong this magnet is. This is a super strong magnet. It is not going to move at all in your tank. So I've got one of these in the 210, and now I've got a new one in the 150 as well. Now it's time to start filling this new 150 up, and it's starting to look alive. So first thing that I'm gonna add to the water, guys, because I told you we're gonna make this thing safe for fish today on this day one. The first thing I'm gonna add is safe, which is exactly the same thing as prime. Both of them do the same thing. They're gonna dechlorinate the water. Safe is just much more concentrated. All you need is 1 teaspoon to dechlorinate 300 gallons of tap water. And as you can see, I probably use a whole teaspoon, but that's okay. It's brand new water. It's not gonna hurt anything. Now, while we watch this thing fill up, let me tell you the good and the bad about having a strong pump. Well, as strong as that pump is, it can only send water to the tank as fast as your tap water comes out of your tap. And unfortunately for me, my tap water isn't really that strong. It's not that great pressure. So the way I fill up my tanks is I put the pump inside of a tote in the tub, and I fill the tote up with water. Once the pump drains that tote and sends that water to the tank, now it's just relying on the speed of the tap filling up the tote, which isn't much. So as fast as that water came out of that hose in the beginning, it always reaches a certain point where the pump has already removed all the water out of the tote, and now it's just a dribble coming into the tank. Nothing I can do about that. So here are the first inhabitants of the 150. I got me a couple of silver dollars. These are very hardy fish. They grow to a pretty big size. They're considered dither fish, which can help in breaking the line of sight across the tank. That'll help in some aggression issues with fish that can be aggressive. If they cannot see the fish they don't like all the way on the other side of the tank, then they're not gonna go after them. So dither fish help to break that line of sight in a tank. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these guys in the tank and start getting them acclimated to the temperature of the new tank. Here's my glass top for the tank, guys. I like to use glass tops on top of the tanks just to prevent a lot of evaporation. I think it looks nice and clean, nice and clear. It's a nice surface for your lights to go on top of them. It's just my preference to use glass tops. So here we go, guys. If you don't know about stability, well, let me tell you, this is the magic ingredient. Dosing with stability every day for the first 7 days is going to help boost your bacteria in the new tank. This is what is going to allow you to put fish in your tank on day one. Combined with your prime or your safe, those are going to detoxify any ammonia that build up in your tank before bacteria is present to get that ammonia out. So by adding prime or safe and stability daily into your new tank, you can put fish into your tank on day one. Don't let anybody tell you that it cannot be done, because I'm going to prove it to you right now in this video. For your very first time dosing stability, the bottle says that you use 5 milliliters or 1 capful for every 10 gallons on day 1. After day 1, you use 5 milliliters or 1 capful for every 20 gallons. And you do this for 7 days. Now, during these 7 days of dosing Prime or Safe and Stability, what you want to keep an eye on is your nitrate levels. Don't even worry about ammonia in your tank. It doesn't even matter. It's getting detoxified. When your nitrate levels reach about 40 parts per million, that's a great sign that your tank has cycled, and also a great sign for you to do a water change. So do a water change when you reach about 40 parts per million, and then test your ammonia. If you still have ammonia or nitrite in your tank, then you want to continue the Prime or Safe and Stability for another 7 days until, again, you reach 40 parts per million. By the second time that you reach 40 parts per million, your tank is cycled, your fish is safe. You do not need stability anymore. All you need is the Prime or the Safe with every water change to dechlorinate your tap water. Now, I want to give you guys a look at the surface agitation here with just the FX6. This is what it looks like with just the FX6 output. Take a look. And here it is once I turn this wave maker on, and it's not even at 100%, guys. I've got it at about 80%. Take a look at that surface agitation. It's creating waves all the way across the tank. This is going to oxygenate your tank water perfectly, awesomely. I don't know what other word to use, but it's going to be great. And while I'm here, might as well show you guys a nice side shot of the big boys. Check them out. Looking great. So I've got this old Night Crew light that I pulled out of storage from one of my old tanks. And I'm going to use this for now because I totally forgot about getting a new light for the 150. But it's going to do all right for the temporary function. Check it out. Now, the reason for all those micro bubbles on the tank are just because the temperature of the water is different from the temperature of the glass inside the tank. That's why you get these micro bubbles. That's actually a good note. If you do big water changes and you end up with a lot of micro bubbles on your tank, that means that the water that you just put in was not at the same temperature as the water that was in the tank. So that's a sign that you need to adjust your temperatures and make sure that they match when you're adding water back into your tank. So the tank is ready for the new guys to get into their new home. But of course, as soon as I was putting these guys in, my memory card decided to fill up and the camera just stopped. But no worries, they're in there. What I'm gonna do now is use my little magnet algae scrubber thing just to help accelerate these micro bubbles getting off the glass so you guys can see the tank a little bit better. All I'm doing is just detaching them from the glass. If you don't have one of these magnet algae scrapers, they're great, but just to make note that you want to make sure that you never get any sand particles in between the two magnets, because if you're brushing your glass and there's sand in between, that sand can scratch the inside of your glass. So be careful. Check this out. I think that looks pretty cool. It looks like a ghost is there brushing that algae off, doesn't it? Yes, guys, I'm a super advocate of keeping your glass clean. You guys think that cloudy water is always because of things inside the water. Sometimes you just got dirty glass. Keep that glass clean inside and out. Hot tip. So here are my new pieces of decor, guys. I got a few pieces of driftwood from my local fish store. They're at decent prices. I picked them up and I think they look great. As you can see, they look wet already. That's because I've had them soaking in the tub for over 24 hours. When it comes to driftwood, guys, you always want to boil it first to get as much tannins out of the wood as possible. But because these pieces are so big, I obviously can't put them in a pot on the stove. So I just put them in my tub and filled it up with hot water. Left them in there for a few hours with that hot water. As the hot water, obviously, temperature dropped, I would dump the water out and then refill it again with more hot water. And just continue that process for about 24 hours, a little over 1 day. Not only does the hot water help pull the tannins out of the wood, but also keeping it soaking for 24 hours will make sure that the wood does not float in your tank and it sinks down to the bottom of the tank. Mind you, these pieces are pretty heavy, so I don't think I was gonna have a problem with them floating anyway, but just in case. You see, guys, I'm not playing. Clean your glass. Trust me, it's gonna make a difference. So there she is, guys, all filled up. Decor's in, substrate's in, got a couple of fish in there already. As you can see, I like the clean, simple, sleek look. I really like the contrast of the green, the brown from the wood, the white from the substrate, the black on the background. I love that contrast that it gives it. Let me know in the comments below how you guys like the tank. And let me know how you like my new setup. I got the 210 over here. I got the 150 over there. And if you want to see which American Cichlids are going in the 150, make sure you watch this video right here. See ya on the next one.